Hello everyone, it's Natasha from Treasure Books. In this video, we are making a traveler's journal cover for any size inserts. More specifically, these are the things you will see demonstrated in this video. How to make and bind the inserts, how to make the cover, how to thread the elastic, how to assemble everything, how to add the closure, and final touches. As you can see, you can make these books any size you want. You can use them in any way you want, such as journaling, goal setting, grocery lists, commonplace books, you name it. The inserts, of course, are removable, so you can always add a new insert or booklet and keep using your cover. Let's jump right in. As I said, you can make your journal any size you want, and today I'm choosing to go with a tall notebook. You can use the exact same steps I'm about to do for your chosen size, whatever it may be. So let's begin with making the inserts. I'm using standard A4 size or regular copy paper. This is slightly off-white color, and I am using 7 sheets for each insert. Again, it's totally up to you how many pages you want to bind in or what type of paper. I'm using copy paper. I've also done junk journal style paper, which is, consists of all different types of paper. So totally up to you what you want to do. But I'm going with this tall notebook, 7 sheets of paper, which I'm going to fold in half. And I want each one of my inserts to have their own cover before I actually make the overall cover. So this is going to be the cover for my insert, and folding that in half. Of course, you can use scrapbook paper, 12 by 12 size, and you can cut it down. I happen to have this A4 size pretty paper, so that's what I'm using. I found this at a craft fair, so I can't even tell you where you can get it or anything like that. But here we go. I have my 7 sheets of paper folded in half. I have my cover. They're perfect, fit for each other, perfect size. And this is pretty much my first booklet. So just to show you here, you can see in this journal, I have 1, 2, 3 booklets. We can fit 4 booklets in this cover that I'm going to show you how to do. But for now, I'm going to make 3 of these. Okay, so the next thing I need to do is bind this booklet together. And I'm going to show you a really easy binding method. Of course, you can also just sew right through the middle right there if you want to use your sewing machine. Otherwise, let's bind. So here's what we're going to do. You can, of course, eyeball it. Placement of holes and sewing, which I'll talk you through it. I just want to show you here so you can see exactly what I'm doing. First thing I did is grabbed a piece of paper, made a template that's exactly the same size, height specifically, as my journal, as my little notebook. Next thing I'm going to do is fold it in half so I can find the perfect middle. So that's my perfect middle here, and I'm going to write myself a note top, so I know that this is the top of my template. Now, usually what I do, and you might have seen me do this a million times before, is a 3-hole pamphlet stitch, which means we have 3 holes. For a tall journal like this, I need more binding stations, I suppose. So how I like to go about this is I'm going to place 1 hole right to the edge, top and bottom edge, just because I want my stitching to go all the way up as much as possible. I don't want it to end down here. By the way, this is what the stitching is going to end up looking like when we're done. Okay, next thing you want to do is have some holes in here. It's totally up to you. Like you can have 27 holes all up, as long as you have an odd number of holes, no even numbers. So I've got one in the middle, and now I'm going to eyeball it here. Maybe 5 holes in here, just like so. Alternatively, you can do this, just how we found the middle hole, the middle, the very middle. You can just fold your paper like this to get even spacings. And then when you open up, you can see the folds, and then you can mark your holes. So, but that's not how I did it. I'm just eyeballing it here. So that's what I'll keep doing. So now I'm going to use this template. And remember, I'm making 3 or 4 of these booklets. So I'm going to be using this same template for all of my booklets. I'm going to pop it right there in the middle and then poke the holes using my pokey tool or an awl, and off I go. And here we go. So all of the holes are poked. I have 13 holes in total, and like I said before, you can have as many or as little as you want, minimum being 3. So now I'm going to show you how you will do the binding, and then we'll do the binding, but I want you to see this first because it's really quite simple. I've had people ask me, how do you do a 5-hole pamphlet stitch or a 7-hole pamphlet stitch, 3-hole pamphlet stitch? I've shown a million times. Well, now that you'll see this, you'll know how to do 153-hole pamphlet stitch basically. All right, so this is the inside of the booklet, and we're starting from the inside. So, and we are starting in the middle hole. And all you have to remember from here on out is that when you come back down, you always miss the middle hole. So you just go in through you're going out through the middle hole, and then you're doing kind of like figure 8, okay? So you're going back out, now you're going back into the journal, then you're going back out, and now you start coming down. So you go back in, out, in, out, in, and here's the middle hole. And now you're skipping the middle hole. Skip the middle hole, and then just repeat the process, in, out, in, out, in, out. Oh, I kind of missed that one. And go back down, go back down, go back down. And now you're here on the outside, and you go back in through the middle hole, and you tie a knot or a bow here, and there you go, you're done. If that didn't make sense, it's gonna make sense now when you see the actual binding. To bind my booklet, I'm just using this thick thread. So this isn't your usual bookbinding thread. It's not wax thread or anything, but it's not like sewing thread either. I suppose it could be for leather and stuff, but it's quite thick thread. And I don't measure the length before I start binding, so I can't tell you like how many heights of the signature you'll need. I always keep my thread on the spool. But I think if you want to cut it in advance, I reckon you would need 2.5, 3. I'll probably cut 3 heights of the thread before start binding. All right, let's just get to binding. So we're going to start where do we start, class? I'm just kidding. In the middle hole. We're going to start in the middle and go out. Now that we've gone in the middle hole, we're just doing a figure 8. And now that we're on the outside, where do we go? I'm going to go up to the next hole. We're always going up to the next hole or down to the next hole, whatever hole is available. And now I'm going to go up to the next hole. Now that I'm over here, I'm going to go again into the next hole so you can see what we're doing. Figure 8. Now that we've reached the top here, now we're just going to start coming down, and then when we get to the middle hole, we're going to skip it. This is what it's looking like so far inside. This is where you start tightening as you're stitching, and we go back outside, back inside, and again outside and back inside. And you see where we are now? That's where we started, the middle hole. We're going to skip that now. We're not going to go back in. And repeating the process down here. And now we're at the end, right over here, and we're going back in through the middle hole. It's very hard to see, but you can actually see the strings. The strings are all kind of connected now, and there's no string here. We're going back in the middle hole, and then there's going to be string there. And here we are back in. Now I'm going to cut off and put this away. And here in the middle, you want to have your threads on either side of this middle thread. And then you go ahead and tie a knot and a double knot and the triple knot and tie a bow or cut the excess off. And there's my first insert bound and ready to go. That's what it looks like from the outside. You can see those three. I don't know how well you can see, but now what I'm going to do, see this overhang here of the pages, I'm gonna go ahead and just trim that down. And here we go, a beautifully finished edge over here. Looks very professional, looks store-bought. In fact, that's what inspired this video. This is store-bought. I just glued this down. This is actually body tattoo. Body, you know, those stick-on body tattoo. Anyway, I bought this and I thought, well, I could make this myself. And that's what we're doing. But you most definitely can use store-bought booklets for this. You don't have to make your own inserts. I will show you how to do the cover next, but you can see in this one here, these are purchased little inserts, and I made this cover by laminating wrapping paper. Of all things, you might have seen me show this in my video of what to do with the leftover wrapping paper. This was one of the projects. I just made a cover for, you know, these booklets. I just love these books. You can use them for so many things. I can get a little bit sidetracked. So then you repeat what we've just done 3 times, or 4 if you want 4. Most of my booklets I've done with only 3 inserts, but I am going to show you how to make put in a 4th one, which is why I've got the 4th one ready to go. Would you look at this? Inserts ready to go. I love the tall size and the beautiful paper, but I also want to show you this one here. Might be more of an interest to you to make a junk journal style booklet rather than just, you know, copy paper. And you can see here I've just done a combination of different papers. It looks green in the video, but it's actually yellow, and it's Easter egg dyed paper, which is one of the videos I've shown recently. And that's the first booklet, and the second booklet I pretty much repeated the same kind of thing. I've got a little bit of sewing, some lined paper, some, you know, just a bit of this and that, and then these lace bits in here that open up. I love that. And then pretty much repeated for the 3rd signature, so you can do that as well. It's just quicker, of course, to do this because you're not embellishing pages, you're just using copy paper. All right, next thing you need to do is make the cover. Of course, you can start with the cover and then make your journals, your inserts to the size that you want. Totally up to you how you go about this. But now we're going to do the cover. So for today, I'm going to use this for my cover, and which is what I've used in my other journals. I can't tell you what this is. I have no idea what this is. Maybe you can tell me. I found this at a resource rescue center, and like it's kind of like this on one side, and then it's like this on the other. I have no idea what it is or what it's called, and most likely you don't have this in your stash, so your options are pretty much anything that you have in your stash, really. But as you can see here from my inspiration book, this is some kind of a faux leather. So you can double up 2 pieces of actual leather or faux leather, perhaps something like this. So if I was to use this, which I was contemplating, what I would do, see how it's flimsy, just the one layer? It would work, but it's quite flimsy. I would actually double it up, and it all depends on if you have a sewing machine. And if you don't have a sewing machine, you can hand stitch just here on the edges, you know, and close it, and have that two pieces stuck together be your cover, which is how they did this. Like, I studied it quite closely. I'm like, how did they do this? How? And yeah, basically that's what it is. So there we have it. Another thing you can use is, I made these in one of my videos. This is napkins glued onto muslin or calico, and I made this type of a fabric. You can call it a fabric, I suppose. And in that video I actually made a whole journal using this method. This is a journal cover. I'll just open it up so you can see. A bit of a long closure happening there, so you can see this. Oh, how glorious, how glorious. I'll link all the videos I mentioned. Let me turn it around. So this, oh my goodness, I wish you could just reach through with your hand and touch this, because it's glorious. It is. I'm not just saying it. Look at this. Look at this. I love it. It's just napkin. Napkin glued onto fabric. Perhaps you can choose a nicer looking fabric, but, and then yeah, so that's my journal. That is my cover. And you might think, when you're looking at it on its own, you might think, oh, that can't be a journal cover. It's too flimsy. It's too thin. It's not. It's absolute perfection. Absolute perfection. And now when I was putting that journal away, I saw this one. Look at this. You can make this as you don't have to have all the fancy special stuff. You know, I didn't have this up until recently when I found it at the Resource Rescue. This is another one of my videos where I show you how to make faux leather antique look for a cover. And need I say any words? I don't think I do. So you can have that as your cover. And for this type of a structure that we're doing today, even a cereal box can be your cover. You can paint a cereal box. The only thing you can't do with a cereal box very well is to have this flap that closes overlapping, in which case you might want to go with something like this, where you just have a closure. You don't have the actual closure, the flap here. This one is bound a little bit different. If you were to do something like this, then I don't think cereal box, I mean, it can still work. You can definitely make it work. When you know how to do it, you can make it work. So now we're going to make the cover. I think we've spoken about options long enough. So you've got your booklets, and mine are very tall, so I'm kind of out of frame. And basically what you want your cover is to be only very, very, very slightly larger than the height of your journal, your inserts, I should say. I've already cut my cover down, but I just want to show you what you're kind of looking for. If you want the flap, the closing flap, you want your inserts to kind of be lining up here on the side, and then when you wrap it around, see how I wrap that around, perhaps move it a little bit more in, and then you can cut your fabric or whatever you're using your journal as a template, of course. So for example, if let's just say I wanted to use the cereal box as my cover for this journal, I would mark myself where to cut, and I would be leaving myself a slight margin up the top and down the bottom. This isn't going to be very precise, but it will do for my demonstration. So, and then I've got, let's say, 3 inserts, and then I will not have enough here to do the flap. So if I was using this as my cover, I would simply fold it in half like this and make sure that I have a little margin here as well. Because once this is bound, if you notice, the books next to the middle one are kind of move in because of the curvature. I hope that makes sense. So here we go. Literally, this can be the cover for my journal. You can collage here, you can paint, you know, do whatever calls to you. But here we go. This is going to be my cover. And now I have already kind of marked myself where I need to poke the holes or make the holes, but I'm going to show you how to determine. So you're going to put your journals where they're going to sit. In this case, I am going to be wrapping the cover around my journal. So this is what I want my final result to look like. Look at this, it looks like a clutch. How cool. This is where I want my journals to sit. And then I look at the middle insert spine. You can see that, the middle insert here. And where the spine is hitting my cover, that's where I want, that's the line I want to make the holes on. So I'm going to hold my thumbnail there. You can make a little marking with a pen, pretending now, because I've already done all of this, and you can actually see. Mark with a pen, pretending. I have my marking there. Pop it down, make sure that it's nice and straight, because you want a straight line. That's the main thing. You don't want any crooked lines. And if it's easier for you, you can draw yourself a line. But what I do, I don't like to kind of mark the material, you know, with the complete line. So what I do, I know I've marked myself where I want. This is what we're doing. I'm pretty sure it makes sense, but this is what we're doing. We need a middle hole here. We need 2 holes up the top and 2 holes down the bottom. We need these holes to be in a straight line, aligned, okay? And that's basically what we're doing now. So I have determined where my middle signature is going to sit, or my middle insert. I have placed my ruler against that line where I want it. And now I'm going to find the very middle. I've already done this in advance, so I don't have to kind of put my head in front of the camera, but I found that this is going to be my middle hole here. And then I need, like I said, 2 holes down the bottom and 2 holes up the top. So I marked already, and I want the top hole to be close to the edge, but not too close so that it's going to rip through, especially if you're not going to be using eyelets. If you are using eyelets, there's less of that to worry about. You don't have to worry about ripping through. If you're using a cereal box, you know, that might be something that you need to keep in mind. The fact that your elastic might rip through your cereal box. So you have to find a way to reinforce it. You can do it with fabric or eyelets. Eyelets, if you have them, perfect. And like I said, you want the top hole to be close to the edge, and then the hole next to it not to be too far away. You don't need to measure. You don't need precise measure. I don't even know. Like, I just kind of eyeballed it. What is that? 1/4 of an inch maybe. Okay. Next thing I'm going to do is poke those holes. Make the holes basically. I have a crocodile, so I'm going to use that to poke the holes. I worked for many years without this tool, so it's not, you know, it's not absolutely necessary, because you can use a thick awl like this and make the holes. Absolutely, you can do that. Just don't poke yourself. See that? See that big chunky hole, okay? But this was actually sent to me by a subscriber, and I've wanted it for a long time, but I don't know, it seems like I like to make myself suffer, so I was kind of just working around it. But now that I have it, I love it, honestly. I just love my crocodile. But as I said, there are ways, okay? There's also this thing that you might have seen me use. It's kind of like a manual, you know, thing where you make the hole with this tool and you use your body weight and you kind of make the hole. So there we have it. Anyway, let's make the holes. Okay, and the holes have officially been made. You just need 5 holes in a straight line. That's probably the main kind of thing. And now, of course, I'm going to use eyelets to reinforce these holes, even though if you look at my bought one, the purchased one, there's no eyelets. But then again, you can't really rip through this. This is what I'm talking about. These booklets are held in there, okay? If you're using cardboard, cardstock, whatever, over time it can rip, which no big deal, because you can make another one, but anyway, you might not want it to rip. So okay, I'm going to apply eyelets here, but before I do that, I like to sew around. But before I do that, I like to do something for the flap here. So you might have noticed that all of the journals that I've made have this, this pretty thing on the flap. And that is, all that is washi tape, but see-through washi tape, like clear, like sticky tape that's got prints on it. And this one's called, I actually have a link to the washi tape shop and discount code. I'm going to put it down in the description box, maybe on screen as well. And if you're looking for this particular one, it's called Flower Corridor Pet Tape, PET tape. Okay, that's all that is. You don't need to go and buy it. Especially, chances are you don't have this kind of thing, so you don't really, if you're using wrapping paper, if you're using laminated covers, then you have a bunch of design on there. If you're painting your cover, a bunch of design, and you can just leave it as it is and it'll look fine just as it is here. But I have it, so I'm going to use it. And I also, to be honest with you, didn't really know. I've been hoarding this. I didn't really know what I could use it for, to make it worthwhile, if that makes sense. Like, I know I can just stick it on stuff, but I was saving it for a special occasion, which this is it. Okay, as you've noticed, I rounded the corners because I like that look. And now I just want to apply the washi tape, or the PET tape as it's called, on the edge here. Trim off a little bit more than I need and start peeling it off, but I'm not going to peel it all the way. I'm only going to start here until I align perfectly, because I'm obsessed with perfection sometimes, and I'm aligning it perfectly. This is where I want it. That looks pretty good to me. And now I'm going to glue it here, and then let's make sure this is all clean. And now this is how I apply it. I'm gonna really make sure that it's stuck down. And I have tried peeling this off because I accidentally put it in a wrong spot, and I kind of needed to peel it off, and it was difficult, which is very reassuring because I don't want this kind of peeling off very easily. And I think if you used regular washi tape, it probably would peel off. It definitely would peel off quite easily. But this, once it's down, it's down. Okay, peel it off my desk. And now, of course, I'm going to cut that excess off. Lovely. And other side. All right, perfect. Done. Look how cool that looks. At this stage, this is another optional step. Of course, you don't have to do this. Like I said before, I'm going to sew all the way around. You can, at this stage, kind of see how it looks without the sewing and then with the sewing. I think the sewing just adds a finished touch to this kind of raw, real blunt cut. Whatever this is, I hope somebody out there knows what this is. So all I'm going to do is take this to my sewing machine. I'm going to turn it the right way up, and I'm going to start sewing down here, and I'm going to sew using a zigzag stitch all the way around. That's all I'm going to do. And for those visual learners out there, this is my sewing machine. I always get asked this question. It's an Elnut, cheapest machine I could find. This is the setting. I don't know if that helps you any. And I'm using a universal needle. I always back stitch at the beginning, make sure nothing is unraveling, and then I just stitch all around. And when I reach the end, I also back stitch, and done. And now I am going to try and make this look as neat as possible. So what I like to do, instead of just cutting the string off, I like to bring, because you have the 2 strings on this side and the 2 strings on this side, I like to bring all 4 strings onto the inside. So I just pull on the inside strings. This is all, I don't know, some of you might be interested in this stuff and some of you might not. So I never know. Who do I please? Can't please everyone. And then I just see when we pulled it up, we pulled that bottom stitch. And now I'm just using my needle to kind of bring it onto the inside. So what we have is, you know, no strings on the cover, on the outside of the cover. All the strings are here, up close and personal. Okay, and now I will tie a knot. Yeah, so some people will say you talk too much, get to the point. And then the next comment will be, I really wish you didn't speed up through that gluing process. I really wish you would have shown the actual sewing process. You know, you can't make, I just don't know, like I can't make everyone happy. So sometimes it's best to assume that the person watching hasn't done it before. Because personally speaking, when I'm watching something, I could have done 3-hole pamphlet stitch a million times, and then I see someone else do it and they do it slightly differently, and I think, why didn't I think of that? So, you know, you can always learn something new. All right, so that's the cover, kind of ready to go, because the next step we're going to do, it's not ready yet because I need to do the eyelets basically. And the most common question I get about the eyelets is, where did you get your eyelets from? I bought the silent setter on eBay years ago, many years ago. And all the eyelets came with the silent setter. And I still have all of these eyelets. And I haven't needed to go and buy more eyelets. And you know, when you're buying things in op shops and craft fairs and stuff like that, every time I see eyelets, I grab them. I grab the eyelets. I grab the eyelets. And see, now I'm running out of the silver. These are all of the silver ones that I have left. These are all gold. Anyway, I'm hoarding the gold. And I'm even using these backing little bits. I have no idea what they are. And I always wondered, what's the point of them? I've never used them before until this project. And now I like to use them. And the reason why I was using them is because my crocodile is not setting these eyelets nicely. It's squashing them down, which is the thing with crocodile. You kind of have to use their eyelets, which I refuse. I'm going to use whatever I have. I refuse to go buy, you know, special eyelets because I have this special tool. It's just not going to happen that way. So there's that. But then I decided not to use my crocodile to set these eyelets. So I'm using my silent setter. You kind of have to use a bit of strength. And the reason why I'm so peculiar with the eyelets and I want them to be set perfectly is because we will be threading elastic through. And over time, if you have abrasive bits on the eyelets, over time that elastic is gonna perhaps rip through, perhaps start looking ugly. I suppose I should also mention, and I'm sure that you know this, that elastic over time will degrade anyway. So this kind of a thing is not something that you're going to be passing through generations unless you change the elastic, which is perfectly doable with this type of binding. So now that the eyelets have been eyeletted, they've been set, I like to just make sure you kind of go over and make sure there's no pokey bits, because there can be. And then, you know, I use something flat just to flatten them down. Flatten. And here we go. The eyelets are looking quite nice. And now the cover is ready to go. That's it. Done. How easy. Maybe with all the talking, it doesn't seem so easy, but really, it's quite easy. All right, next thing you need is elastic. This method is usually done with elastic. Elastic is preferable. I'll be using, of course, this gold one. Another question I always get, where did you get it? I found this at an op shop. So it's an elastic, gold elastic, beautiful, but I don't know where you can actually get it. So there we have it. How much do you need? Oh, what if you don't need elastic? Well, you might have a little bit of a problem. You could do something like use twine, thread twine through, kind of like this kind of thing. This is a project that I did in my book. Here's the book and here's the project. So it's twine binding pretty much, and you can adapt this idea, well, this idea to this kind of a cover. Okay, here we're just wrapping over the top and sliding the signatures through. in this case, first of all, I would make bigger holes up here, and then I would just thread twine. It would have to be tight, tight enough to hold the signatures in, but not too tight where you can't put the signatures in. But what I'm trying to say is that you can still do the project if you don't have elastic, but I'm gonna obviously be doing it with the elastic. How do you determine how much elastic you will need to bind your inserts in? So what I do, I'm gonna go with 3 inserts, even though you need the exact same amount of elastic for 4 inserts. So let's say you have, this is your insert, or you might use your cover as, what's the word, you know, the thing to measure your string against. If you have 3 inserts, you need at least 3 heights of the inserts for your for the binding. I'm losing my words. However, I want more because I want to be on the safe side, and also because I want to play. I want to do fun stuff like this. So you see, I need more. You can hide this inside. We'll talk about that one step at a time. But I want to do this fun stuff, which you don't have to do. So I have 3 inserts. I need 3 heights. So I'm going to go 1, 2, 3. And then you know what? I'll just do another. Well, there's a bit of a ugly spot here. So maybe I'll just cut it off there somewhere. So what have I got? I've got 1 height, 2 height, 3 heights as minimum. It's not going to be enough. 3 heights. Go 3.5 or 4 heights. Okay, that's what I did. 4 heights. All right, let's thread this through real quick. I'm just gonna pop this here so you can see what I'm doing. We are going to start from the inside bottom hole. Now we're on the outside, go back inside. Here's what we have over here. You see that? Now we're gonna go in through this hole here, second from top. Go in and back inside and pull tight. That's what it looks like on the outside, and this is what it looks like on the inside. You have 2 strings on the inside, and now we have to tie a knot down here, but don't make the knot too tight because we will have to amend the knot. I might have to move it up to tighten, or I might have to move it down to loosen. So all I'm going to do at this point is a slight knot, but I didn't like tighten it. Okay, now I'm going to move this up and pull this through, just like so. So my knot, because I want it out with the beads. If you want the knot hidden inside, you would have it up here and then tighten. This is what you would do if you want the knot hidden inside your book. But I want it down here with the beads. So at this point, my knot is down here, like I said, and you have 2 strings on the inside. Okay, so we're going to tighten this one here. And now we have 1 string here, 1 short one, and 1 long here. I'm going to move the long one out of the way. These are the inserts I'm going to be binding in, and I'm starting, this is kind of what I want them to look like in my journal. So I'm going to start with my bottom insert, find the middle where the thread is, and I'm going to thread that through just like so. Perfect. And now I'm just going to tighten into place. It's a very tall journal, so it kind of can't really see, but I'm tightening that into place. Now I'm going with my middle insert, and I'm going to pop this thread, the long one, in the middle of it, right here. I'll tilt it to the side so you can see. And now what I'm going to do here is twist the string like this. See that? I'm just twisting it like this. And this has to go over the top of the cover of my insert, okay? So here we go, it's twisted. I'm gonna stretch the elastic and just bring it over the top, just like that. And now I have a string here for my very first insert. And I'm just going to pop it through, just like so. And as you can see, you can stop there. That's bound, that's done. I'm just going to show you now how to add the 4th insert if you want a 4th one in there. So if you look at your second insert on the inside, you will notice that you have 2 elastics here. So in order to add your fourth insert, you want to kind of twist the elastic. So it's twisted down here and twisted up here. And then you bring the twisted end over the top, either in there or behind this insert. You know, it doesn't really matter. It really depends where you want to be popping your fourth insert through. I'm just going to pop it through here and just pop it through. It's as easy as that. So now I have 4 inserts in my book. That's what it looks like from the top, and that's what it looks like from the bottom. At this point, I'm kind of having a look, you know, if I want to be tightening. I think I'm going to tighten that knot a little bit, because I feel like this last insert, you know, it's a little bit loose. I don't want it too tight, but I don't even think I have to undo the knot, but I might, we'll see. I only want to tighten it very slightly, so I'm just going to push it in. Or maybe I'll undo it. Decisions. Here we go. I undid the knot, and now I'm just simply going to knot it a little bit tighter. Okay, I'm quite happy with that, and now I'm going to tighten that knot, and done. I have enough string there to put my beads on. Everything is bound inside. And before I do the beads, I'm going to do the closure. So the closure is done with a separate piece of thread, elastic I should say. And one downside of a really tall journal is that your elastic has to wrap, like it has a long way to wrap. It has to be tight enough to keep it close, but not too tight that you can't wrap around. Whereas if you do a smaller journal like this, then, you know, it's not such a long process. So at this point, I'm going to wrap my journal with the elastic, and I'm going to give myself a little bit of extra elastic. So all I have here is a small piece of elastic. Hold my journal in place, pop the elastic around it. This is a little bit difficult because this thing keeps opening up. Whatever material you use, you might find it a little bit easier, this process. But all I'm going to do here is tie a knot where, like, this is good amount of elastic. So I'm going to tie a knot, and again, I'm not going to do a very tight knot because we still have to pop it through the cover. Knot made. Okay, so that's approximately how much elastic I need. I'm going to take it off. This is all we have at the moment. That's all we have. Okay, you can do this before putting your signatures in your little notebooks, but then you don't know how thick your whole thing is going to be. So I do it at this step. And now at this step, we want to pop this through this middle hole that we have here from the inside. Here it is, and just pull through. I didn't tighten that knot. Like I said before, I left it loose so then I can test my closure here. And is that too tight? Is it too loose? That's actually perfect. This is exactly how I wanted it. So now at this stage, I can come in here and tighten the knot. And that knot is not going to go through that hole because the hole is too small for the knot to go through. So you don't want to have like a large eyelet there. So tighten again. And then I like to move this to the back over here. So this knot is visible, obviously. You can trim that down. I don't know, I leave them long for now. I can trim them down later. And that's the closure, done. So now we are ready for final touches. So looking at our journal side on, you can see that we have this little loop here, perfect space to add a little charm or a tassel. And then of course this here, I'm going to start with this. I'm going to add some beads. Here we go, beads galore. Add a bit of this, bit of that, 3 little beads, and tie a knot. I'm leaving space between the cover and the start of the beads. I don't want the beads kind of all the way up here, because sometimes things can kind of move around, you know. There we go, tie another knot. Perfect. Trim off the excess and done. How cool. And now, of course, I'm going to do something here. We can do anything really there. I'll show you what I've done so far. For this one here, I just used a gold chain, broken jewelry kind of stuff. This is also from a necklace. This is from a pair of earrings. It kind of has that green stone you can't really see. It goes well with this here. These are my handmade beads, paper beads. I have a tutorial on this if you want to have a look. And that's pretty much all I did for this one. For this one here, same thing really. Just some chain, this actually came off of a bracelet, and I've got some beads, and you know. Then we've got this one. Oh, here's an extra little thing I made. I'll come back to this. I'll come back to this when we finish with the tassel. Here you can see again, that's from that same necklace, and I have some of this feathers. They were earrings, those feathers. So that's that one. Pretty cool. And then this one. Again, this is all from the same bracelet that I mentioned before, like these coins and, you know, this little tassel, whatever I have in my stash. Put some beads on there. Fun stuff. Unnecessary, really. It doesn't serve any purpose. But you want to be able to move it out of the way. You don't want any chunky beads up here and then it's in the way when you're writing. So it can be moved out of the way so your journal can kind of lay flat when you open it. Alternatively, you can do nothing, like this one and this one, even though this binding was done differently. I did that a different way, as you can see, but maybe I can do that, I don't know, in another video. Anyway, this is just little extra things that you can do. So I have a couple of bits and pieces here. This is from a necklace. Obviously, it's not real gold. I wish it was. I'm just gonna kind of decide what I want to do. Maybe I can do this. Maybe not. I don't know. Maybe I can do this. I don't like this. Here's another chain I could use, but I want to do the gold. Here are the leftover bits from that bracelet. Wouldn't mind doing that. Just playing around. I'm gonna go into my box. I know you like looking at this sort of stuff because I love looking at this sort of stuff. All sorts of stuff, from bracelets. I have a friend who gave me a huge bag of her old jewelry that she no longer wants. Look at this. Look at this stuff. You can find this sort of stuff in secondhand stores. What's this? Look at this. A necklace. Look at all the glorious little charms on this necklace. How beautiful. This is the type of thing that I've used in this project because it goes really well with the, you know, this PET tape, PET tape that I have. Look how cool that goes. So that's why I've been using that. I might use that again. Earrings in here. These are the feathers from the earrings. I found them in a secondhand store. A whole bunch of them by the looks of it. This was actually sent to me as Happy Mail and from one of my subscribers, and I'm hoarding it, of course. What else have we got? From a necklace. Look at this, earrings. Look at all this cool stuff we can use. And yeah, a whole bunch of fun stuff in here. But I think I have what I need. I'm going to keep it real simple and go with that. And I'm going to use my tools, my pliers to attach things onto this chain. So I'm going to do all of this off camera because it's boring, and I'll show you when it's done. I just also wanted to show you, if you don't have chains and things like that, you can use lace and threads and twine and whatever you have, and then you can have a little, I just had this in my stash, so you know, this looks quite nice too. So there we have it. Or you can have something like this, just a piece of twine, you wrap it through this little thing that we have here, and then you just put beads on there, tie some knots, you know. You can really make a beautiful tassel out of anything. Or look at this. Oh, it's a little bit too kind of girly. Not a big fan, but I like the idea of something like this. And here it is. Here is my tassel done. I've just attached bits and pieces onto the chain. Not too much, really kept it simple. And I have a large jump ring here up the top. And then of course that I'm going to loop through here, just like so, and close. You don't want anything too heavy. There is my little tassel done. You can add pieces that mean something to you, you know, from your mother's necklace or your grandma's, and yeah, you can make it personal and special. All right, that's looking so good. And now I'm thinking I really should have chosen to do a tutorial in a small journal. I was really into making these large journals because I've never made one with just the A4 size sheet, the copy paper sheet, folded in half and made tall notebooks, and I really wanted to. So now we can't fit the project in the screen, but I'm pretty sure you know what's going on. Okay, one last thing I wanted to show you is this. On this journal, you can see I have my tassel, I have my beads, I have the closure, and everything like that. I'll show you the inside. But this here is actually a bookmark, and I used the same material and I sewn around. I doubled it up. So I have this shiny piece on the inside. I kind of, you know, doubled it up like this and made a tall bookmark. And then of course it's just gonna slip through if you don't have something to hold it in place, which is why I added this. I don't know. I didn't do it for all the journals. I think it looks quite nice, actually. Look at that. And I'll just quickly show you the inside of this book while we're at it. Why not? And let's say you're up to writing, I don't know what, your goals or whatever. You're up to here and you have your bookmark in place. You close your journal, and that kind of, you know, keeps it from falling through, keeps it in place. Can you see that? That's just one of the other things that I did for this journal. Now I definitely can't fit them all into screen. Would you look at that? Glorious. This brings me so much satisfaction. I don't know why I go and buy things like this when I can have, or make rather, things like this. And now you can too. So that's it. That's all I have for you today. I hope that you enjoyed this tutorial. Please, as always, leave me a comment. Let me know what you think. Any questions you may have, any advice, whatever you have, pop it down in the comments down below. Any videos that I have mentioned, I will have linked in the description box. I will also link this book, which is my book, Treasure Bookmaking. That will be linked down below as well. So you can learn all sorts of other stuff, you know? And one last thing, somebody is bound to ask about the papers that I used for those covers. I don't know what this is because I got it at a craft fair show where people kind of get rid of things that they no longer want. So it doesn't actually have a brand name, or like I wouldn't know how to go about finding this thing again. So it was just a lucky find. Oh, here we go. I don't know if you can do anything with that, but anyway, you can find lots of things on a Facebook Marketplace and these stash groups on Facebook even, and you know, craft fair shows where people get rid of their stuff and etc. Oh, of course, secondhand stores. I really need to stop talking because I'm pretty sure I've said everything I needed to say in this video. Again, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in my next video. Bye.